What's up? Welcome back to Amplified Impact, the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how to make money from nothing by mastering a very simple formula. It's what I call the successful entrepreneur formula. You master this, you will unlock all the growth you could ever want inside your business and inside your life. First part of this equation, let me read out the whole equation to you, and then I'll break down each step for you. First, you need to be smart enough to see opportunities as they present themselves. You need to add to that the fact that you are dumb enough to get started despite the overwhelming odds saying that you are likely to fail. You need to add to that the fact that you are dumb enough to keep going even when times get difficult. And you need to amplify all of that to the exponent of your willingness to look stupid in public. So let me break this down for you. Let's start from the top. You need to be smart enough to see the opportunity. The truth is that whether you see risk or opportunity is simply a matter of your perspective. And a lot of times, the thing that's coming at us through the windshield, it only ever looks like risk. The time when it finally looks like opportunity is when it's in the rear view mirror. Problem with that, you've already passed it. Right. And so by the time you look back and you can say definitively, you know what? I should have invested in Apple in 1992. Oh, I should have invested in Tesla in 2011. I should have gotten into Bitcoin back in 2010. Right. You can only know that now looking back. But in 2010, you wouldn't have known Bitcoin was the thing. Tesla in 2011 would have seemed like a risk. Apple back in the 90s would have been like, what are you doing? Like, this thing's going to zero, right? So it only ever looks like opportunity in the rear view mirror. So you need to be refining the skill set of being able to see things that are coming at you that look like risk to everybody else and see the opportunity in that. And that right there is a very difficult skill to develop. It requires a lot of failure. Honestly, like the best way to improve our judgment is through failing fast and failing forward and gathering as much experience as we possibly can. I think it was Munger who said something to the effect that, the smart man learns from his own mistakes, the wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So take that to heart and fail forward as quickly as you can, but also be gathering as much information from others who've been there and done the thing before you and collate their experiences so that you can accelerate towards your goal. So that's the first part of the formula. You got to be smart enough to see the opportunity. But we're going to add to that the fact that you need to be dumb enough to start despite the odds. It's one thing to look and say, I think there's an opportunity there. You're smart enough to recognize that. But you need to be dumb enough to look at that opportunity and recognize, well, okay, that opportunity is an opportunity, but it's not a guaranteed slam dunk. It's probably only a 15% likelihood of success, right? And so you need to be able to recognize those odds, and they're not in your favor, but still take action despite that. Because you can only win if you start. You can only lose if you quit, right? But the thing that gets people so hung up is they see the opportunity, they think they saw it, but they never took the action to capitalize on it because they were so afraid of what if it fails? Because you hear all these stats about like most businesses, 72% of businesses fail in the first year, right? So a lot of people look at that and they'll say, those are bad odds. I'm not going to take that. Even though they can recognize there is an opportunity there to build wealth through entrepreneurship, they're not dumb enough to get out of their own way and take action. So that's the first part of the equation. We got to be smart enough to see the opportunity. We got to be dumb enough to get started despite the odds of failure. And we need to be dumb enough to keep going even when things get hard. Because it's one thing to see the opportunity. It's another thing to know my odds of success are low, but I'm going to try it anyways. And it's another thing when you're 2 years, 3 years, 10 years into the venture and things are going really difficult. You're on this downward slide. It's chaos. You don't know what to do. You're in crisis mode constantly. And you're like, maybe I should just give up, right? Like it's just not working out. And the thing is that a lot of times people quit right on the cusp of a breakthrough. They don't realize how close that they were. And sometimes the times when we are stressed the most, when we are experiencing the most challenge and obstacle is right at the moment before breakthrough. We're challenged most right at the moment when we're about to make the jump to the next level. And that makes sense because if you've been operating in your zone of comfort for so long, you're not growing inside of that. So growth requires us to exit that comfort zone and go just beyond that. And growth will inevitably occur at that 4 to 5% range beyond your comfort zone. And as you push to that 4 to 5% range, suddenly things get really, really hard and a new version of you has to emerge in order for that to become the new standard. Right? Our capacity expands at the extremity. And that means that you are going to be challenged most at the moment right before breakthrough. And you have to be dumb enough to keep going despite everything, all the history, everything that you've seen up to that point saying this isn't going to work. You got to be able to stick with it. Now, If you're smart enough to see the opportunity, you're dumb enough to get started, and you're dumb enough to keep going even when things get hard, to stick with it, to be consistent and disciplined. And if you can take all that and now you can amplify it to the exponent of your willingness to look stupid in public. So the more willing you are to look dumb to everybody else in your life, to suffer the slings and barbs of their criticisms and their judgments, your friends, your family, and your colleagues telling you this was a bad idea, and they're all trying to point out you should probably quit, right? Because you're over here and you're like, I know my odds of success are low, and I know things are not working out, and I feel like I should quit. And everybody in my life is telling me I should quit. And the longer I don't quit, the more stupid I look to those people, because they get to say, I told you so, I told you so, what are you doing? You're so stupid, right? So your willingness to look stupid in public and to suffer the judgments of those people who you care most about and continue down the path, that will ultimately dictate your likelihood of achieving success in any entrepreneurial endeavor. So take this formula, be smart enough to see the opportunity, be dumb enough to get started despite the odds, be dumb enough to stick with it despite how difficult it might be, and multiply all of that by your willingness to look stupid in public. Don't let the judgments of other people hold you back, and realize that the people you look up to in life, they're simply above you because they're standing atop a larger pile of failures than you. So keep going, my friend. Use the formula and go dominate life. I'll see you guys in the next episode.